In this section, basically, we are dealing with the investigation of the bite marks. So we've already given you a detailed account on what kinds of bite marks we can come across while we are carrying out an investigation. And there can be a lot of instances marks as well. For example, when a police officer is trying to arrest a suspect, he may get the bite marks, or it can be due to the sexual assaults as well. So we have to consider the consequences in detail while we are investigating these bite marks over here. So in this section, primarily, we'll be dealing with the nature of the bite marks first of all, and then we'll be moving on to the bites that are inflicted by teeth closing down quite quickly and quite intensively. So it's going to be a quite intense bite mark in such a case. Then we have the problems and the investigations of the bite marks that are usually carried out. What can be the misleading details that are usually given whenever we are conducting an investigation on the bite marks. So all of this will be discussed over here in this section. The nature of the bite marks is usually handled upon, and the components of the application of the mouth that are considered the bite mark may not be from the actual teeth, and it can be from an object that is resembling the teeth. So it's again going to confuse the investigation. So these problems have to be considered. The lips are the transient marks, transiently marking the skin as well in a lot of cases. If they are forcibly nipped, but these marks that are basically produced due to the transient forcibly nippling of the lips, they are going to be of a short-lived duration, and they usually fade quite quickly. Now, they do not persist unless they're associated with the petechial hemorrhages, and the suction produces the punctate hemorrhages along with the large ecchymotic areas as well. So over here, basically the merging into the confluent central bruise is considered over here due to the process of the suction that is creating these bite marks. So these bite marks will be considered over here, and the nature of the human bite marks is again taken into account, and the small part of the dental arcade is also considered. From canine to canine, we have to basically re-examine each and every tooth, and it has to be compared with the dentition of the suspect. On the other hand, it is nearly circular or shallow oval, and while we have an animal bite at our hand, the parabolic arch or U shape will give you an idea that this bite mark was produced by an animal. We have clear or separate marks of these bite marks, whether they are produced by the animals or they are produced by the humans. They have to be separate and quite clear. Continuous or intermittently broken line is again of significance if it is found. The blur out time or the fading out time is again important. The abrasions on the skin, they are noted down if they are found in the close vicinity to the bite mark. They are also noted down while we are carrying out the autopsy. The abrasions retain the shape until completely scabbed or the healing process has been completed. Now we have the abrasion, bruises or lacerations. Whenever we have teeth marks or bite marks, their severity is going to be different in different cases. It can either be just an abrasion phenomena or it can be a jagged laceration. Contour of the part bitten is also examined in detail, whether it has the irregular or the regular margins or it is markedly curved. Part of the dental arch and the contact tissue is also examined in detail. If it is a forcible bite, then the extensive subcutaneous bruising, if it is found, it will be written down, documented in the autopsy report. If there is some sort of a lateral spread, or if the fading out line is found in a particular case, it basically indicates that it was a forcible bite. The bites inflicted in many days before will have the healing of abrasions and lacerations. The absorption of bruising or little details will be found of the bruising phenomena. If the teeth are forcibly applied, then we'll have two bows that will have the complete structure of the dentition, and the complete architecture of the dentition will be found in those bones. Now the concavities will be facing each other, and the gap will be at the each end. The suction petechiae will be found, and they're confluent in their nature. There is a firm application of lips that is again going to cause the bruising phenomena. and it can be distinguished by the fact that we'll not have the teeth marks whenever the firm application of the lips is causing the bruising. Then petechial hemorrhages are also looked for in these cases, and the frank bruise or the hematomas, if they are found, they're going to be documented in detail. On the sides of the neck and the breast, they are going to basically signify the fact that it was a sexual kind of an assault. The bites inflicted by teeth closing down will have a relatively flat skin surface, and in sexual bites, the location will be most probably the breast or the nipples, the neck areas. The tissues are sucked into the mouth before biting, and it basically gives a shape to the bite mark when the skin is released. The marks are not the opposing arches, and they can be more linear in their pattern than the teeth marks. So the marks left by the lower incisors will be quite crucial. They are going to be curved lines of the static marks. They are going to be the straight or interrupted lines as well below the upper incisor scraps. And an example for this is if that the lower teeth are dug in and they anchor the skin, the upper teeth gouge downwards towards them. So it's again going to be the act of the closing of the mouth phenomena, which is going to basically give these drag marks. Even over here in this diagram, you can see the drag marks from the upper incisor teeth. These are going to be the drag marks, and these are going to be the left lower central incisor marks. So the dragging phenomena is seen in a lot of cases. Then we have the problems with the bite marks that are quite commonly seen. We can identify the preparator. The dentist's expertise is again required at this case, and the characteristic dentition features are noted down. The identification in a negative sense is again also very important, because if we have to exclude a person, that is again that it also carries its importance whenever we are carrying out the investigation. The assessment of the suspect's front teeth is very crucial in this case. So there are a lot of problems with the bite marks that we'll be discussing over here. The missing or the damaged teeth is one of the phenomena that has to be considered. We have the grossly displaced teeth. The mark is quite inconsistent, or sometimes it is helpful for the investigators to eliminate a suspect. So the negative investigation, or when you are excluding a person, it's again going to carry its importance. The person in the restricted range of family is sometimes excluded on this type of investigation. Best physical evidence must be carried out by the pathologist if you're going to include a person as a suspect, and if you're going to exclude a person as a suspect and you're carrying out an investigation, or for which you have carried out the autopsy first of all, and you have had the bite mark and you examined it in detail and you have got the information at your hand. So the bite marks, they must be fully photographed, and from several angles. You have to get the tangential shots, and there should be no impingement of the details at this level. The examination of the original lesions is again very important, and the bites on the curved surfaces, they give a different impression, and so one has to keep in mind if it's a linear surface or if it's a curved surface in this case. For example, the curved surfaces include the breast, the arms, and the face. There are several views of mark at slightly different angles, and the usage of small lens apertures for the photographing purposes is again important. We have to use the short focal length cameras, and the side lighting is also important for a clearer view in a particular case. The monochrome and the color photographs are also taken by the use of the infrared sensitive films are also used. The DNA analysis and sterile swabs are to be taken. Impression or cast of the bite is taken just as shown in this picture. And just to avoid the damage to the bite, we have to have the evidential examination of the person. We can use rubber or silicone based medium for the catalytic hardening or for the casting phenomena in such a case. We use basically, while we are carrying out this investigation of the bite marks, we use a 3D scan of the lesion. A virtual 3D construction is being carried out in a lot of developed countries. The bite mark shape and size is taken, and excising the bite area from the autopsy is sometimes used just to preserve the bite mark. The preservation in formalin, and the bite mark is fixed with formalin. Re-examination is done after the first autopsy, because sometimes there are a lot of important details that are more cleared out if it is re-examined after some time. So the enhancement of the lesions is also done. Sometimes we have the faint lesions and they become prominent gradually. So in this section, basically, we dealt with how are we going to carry out the investigations for the bite marks if we have them in a particular case of autopsy. So that is the end to this section. Thank you for watching sqadia.com.